So have you ever thought that it's quite sad that there's probably like thousands of people out there that you'd connect with, but you'll never meet them, you'll never see them, you won't even know that each other exist? I think that's quite a shame. I think it should be easier for us to find the people that we're most likely to resonate with. But why is it that we can't? Well, we're having to work like constantly all of the time, right? And so of course we meet people through work, but these are sort of forced environments where we're just pretty much having to earn to exist, like earn to survive, slaves to the wage. So often I found myself in these forced interactions, and it doesn't quite feel natural to me. In fact, the whole system of the Matrix doesn't feel particularly natural to me. And I just feel like we're moving into this increasingly synthetic world, this sort of technocracy that's driven by perhaps Elon Musk's AI open-air prison vision, which is, of course, in line with Agenda 2030. And there's lots of interesting aspects to discuss regarding that. But I think, like, most importantly, we need to think about what it is that we want to achieve and how we might be able to do it as a people at this time, because I feel like we need more freedom, we need more abundance in the world ultimately. And if we have abundance, then a lot of these sort of political paradigms, this sort of divisive model between the right and the left, just falls away when we realise that if abundance is ubiquitous and everywhere, then at what point are we going to actually think of these basic needs as commodities, like shelter, energy, food and water? Like, it's unnecessary. It's only happening because a lot of these, what is being provided to us is coming to us by way of someone who's actually capable of doing that. And typically that's investment, it's an individual, or it's the government. And this is where the vested interests lie. But we can actually immunize ourselves through creating, through social media, a true democracy. And we can do that only when we understand, first and foremost, the vision, because of course there's many questions that get floated. But really the solution is very simple, and all this can be seen at newearth.land. So what we need to do is come together and realise that millions of people with £1 is a completely different mindset to one person with millions of pounds who will only ever operate for profit. So once we actually realise that we can empower ourselves in this way, we can actually start to reclaim and acquire our land, and then actually build co-housing projects that make shelter, energy, food and water basic human rights. So effectively what I'm saying here is we can move society beyond rent and bills, because as I've mentioned in other videos, let's face it, who wants to pay thousands of pounds every month? It's just that we feel like that is the only way, but it isn't. There's so many, it's an infinity of possibilities out there, but we need to actually sort of raise awareness of this solution, because otherwise we're sort of basing out in general daily discussions about secular affairs, and we're not really progressing society. It's stagnant at this time, and I think that's why it's giving rise to so much suffering in the world, whether it's physical suffering or mental suffering, like by way of poverty, and of course by this sort of general apathy towards existence that we're experiencing, like on a weekly basis, living for the weekend and just slaves to the wage. We're having to wake up and just do these tasks which, if we actually have more freedom in place, we'll be able to continue doing these things if that's what we enjoy. But if we don't enjoy them, it'll be easier for us to turn our lives around and actually start navigating our lives in a more aligned fashion, more sort of authentically, so that we can actually all express ourselves and reach self-actualization, if you're familiar with the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So this is such a simple solution that is available to all of us. And it's not something that we need to get caught up in the political spectrum with. It's just simply, do we want to live more abundantly, or do we want to continue to live in this world of scarcity where the farmland is increasingly being absorbed by the state and increasingly by Bill Gates, it seems, rather bizarrely. But, or do we want to empower ourselves and see that actually we are the ones that we've been waiting for the whole time? We're in the driving seat. We are, of course, the people of Earth. So we need to actually realize that we have a voice, and we can also perform the correct actions, because at the moment it's all sort of intellectualism, but we need to move away from that and realize that, yeah, this is the vision, but this is how we're going to execute it. So do check out newearth.land if you're interested in learning more about that, and I'll see you in the next video.